All right, principal's report.
All right, Tuesday is my favorite day. Why? Because I get to see you all. But secondly, it's PD Day here at RB. I want to thank our teachers that presented last week. Special thanks to Ms. Wyzinski for presenting first slide, Mr. Franco, guided imagery, Mr. Helgeson, student engagement, and Ms. Phillips, our librarian, showcasing all of our library resources. Today, we wrapped up our second semester PD, and we spoke about post-pandemic practices that many teachers will consider keeping. Things that have been useful in the practice, such as keeping the camera on to engage the students, using the chat feature in the breakout rooms to engage those students, using Google Docs to allow students to ask questions and to see that live feedback, and of course, all the tools that we've used, too many to name, but I want the board to know that many of our teachers will be continuing using those tools and those practices that help engage the students come next year. So big shout out to all my teachers. Thank you, Bridget. Thank you, Kylie, for everything you guys have done.
So they're in the classroom and then they put a question in the comments?
Yeah,
while
you
they're
could
in the classroom? I mean, because I know, at work we talk to each other that way, but the teacher doesn't really have time to answer those questions because they're engaging the whole classroom, right?
We've used in the past, like it's considered a back channel, right? So like you're watching a movie in class and.
Watch an example.
Oh, Jesus. An academically appropriate movie in class, okay? And yes, and kids have questions, right? Like you listen to Kristen, right? And you're like, oh God, I gotta write that down because I want to ask about that. Oh, I want to write down, I gotta ask about that. So then they put them in the chat or they put it in a running Google Doc or, I can't think. There's been some services that have come and gone, but back channel chats so that everyone has a voice and everyone doesn't have to wait till the end of the lesson to ask their question. So this is something that's been going on for 6 or 8 years, and the pandemic has really shined a light on the need for that to be happening more often in classrooms.
Maybe Michael and Lily can provide some perspective on that.
I mean, for me in all the classes that we've used the chat feature, it's when kids don't want to speak on the microphone and they just write the answer or whatever question they have in the chat. That's what I can think of.
Yeah, I wouldn't say I necessarily use it to ask questions because I have to wait to ask the question. I don't know.
I mean, the questions that I've asked in the chat feature have always been answered really fast.
Yeah, I don't use the chat feature too often.
Right,
But if we get a kid who wouldn't normally ask a question that would ask a question in the chat, that's a win.
That's a win.
They do.
That's what it's really about.
Yeah.
It's about
Well,
taking that one kid who doesn't engage
Is that what
and
the
having
training
them
focused on?
engage,
Is that
right?
what you're saying, the training was?
Yes, it's part of it, of course, Yep.
But they can still ask questions in real time. I mean,
Sure.
in the
Yeah, yeah.
classroom I'm
Yeah.
at, and the kids are on Zoom, they can still, as if they're there, they're just kind of like here in the screen.
but
Yeah.
I think you said these are the post-pandemic practices we'd like to keep,
Yes.
right?
Yes,
So it's sort of shifting some of that to off of Zoom and off, right? So it's called the back channel. It's called the back channel chat.
Okay. Well, I just know we've got this one-to-one initiative. Everybody's got a laptop, and if we can continue to use that laptop and do a positive forward motion, I think that's and engage kids that might not be engaged. It's
Yep.
very positive.
Well,
And that-
before COVID, we had significant training on how to incorporate the Chromebooks and how, so that it wasn't an add-on to the lesson, but an integral part of the lesson.
Right, but I don't know if that was always the case, because when COVID hit, we certainly had I don't even know how to
Well, you
use it.
have your curve, right? Like you have your early adopters, you have the middle of the road people, the ones who will do it once you give them some training, and then
We should
are
ask our
not.
students, prior to COVID, were your Chromebooks an integral part of your class?
I don't know, the class and the teacher for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
If teachers that wouldn't have used them before, I don't like when there weren't Chromebooks, they didn't really use them. I think with our younger teachers, like in my English class, definitely was using Chromebooks all the time.
Oh yeah, English is a big Chromebook class.
Math,
we would
math.
never.
Until this year, I mean, the only time I used my Chromebook in math was like if I had homework.
Yeah, because
really
math's like the
But
flipped
now
classroom.
now for sure I use my Chromebook in math and like science.
Mm-hmm.
I think we'll be able to come back much better as a staff and as a student population from the experiences we've went through with this pandemic. I think teachers have picked up a lot of creative habits,
Absolutely.
and I think our students have realized the importance. And that's why the building administration is doing the executive functioning training for teachers, because so when we bring students back next year, the effectiveness of planning out your day, and then working that plan and trying to get more organized. And using that Chromebook as a central hub to store notes, to store projects, to communicate, group chats, those types of things. Yeah.
And I would make the argument that there's probably at least one teacher from every department, if not more, that has actually flourished, right? It's brought out their creativity and their,
Absolutely.
they've used design thinking or other ways to solve the problems and made learning better.
I think that's part of what we talk about, how we catch up that lost learning, and this may be key into it. I mean,
Yeah, what's really been,
we don't know what we don't know, right?
what's been positive with this experience is that many of our teachers and educators, have had to update and revamp, their lessons and work through it. And I think, in this conversation, what I'm getting is that there's been lots of gains. There's been digital competency gains. There's been communication gains from our student body and from our teacher. Of course, we know COVID-19 has impacted our school system, but there's been lots of gains made, during this time as well. School culture and operations. The Race and Equity Committee will meet on Wednesday, May 5th, from 6:30 to 8 p.m. via Zoom. I'll be sending the formal invitation at the end of this week or Monday. My next Talking with the Principal for Parents will be held in person Tuesday, May 18th from 9 to 10 a.m. The invitation will be sent in early May. My next office hours with the principal for students will be held virtually this Thursday, April 29th from 1:15 to 1:45. AP exams will be held starting the first week of May and run through the end of May. AP students can be excused from attending the regularly scheduled classes on any day they have an AP exam. I'll be sending information tomorrow to parents, to make sure we got the right permissions.
Is that morning and afternoon?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct, Michael, okay? I know you guys need the time to prep, to relax, to de-stress. I want you to focus on AP execution, and that's it, okay? Lastly, activities and athletics. Several summer athletic and activity camps will be held during this upcoming summer. Parents should visit our website for more information. We will be having athletic and activity summer camps this summer. More details to come. And that concludes my principal's report.
Hector, there was a question submitted for that next equity meeting. Can you send me the agenda and if there's any notes? So that I can share that with the board in a Friday update.
Yeah, definitely. I'll send it next Monday. Yep.
All right.